3, 2, 1.
What's up, my Net Soldiers? I am the Net Alliance, and today I'm bringing you the top 10 worst ways to die in Star Wars movies. But before we begin, if you're a subscriber of mine and you feel like being awesome, make sure to join the notification squad by clicking the little bell button beneath this video. It'll notify you every time I upload a new video, so you can get my videos first. Which is good, because I respond to every comment within the first hour of this video being posted, so you have a better chance of getting a response by me. Now with that out of the way, let me just say that there are tons of deaths in the Star Wars movies, so I tried my best to compile the top 10 worst. Now when I say worst, I don't mean which one is the most lame. I'm ranking these as the worst ways to die, so let me know your list in the comments below. And for one final statement before we begin, I'm only ranking the worst deaths in the live action movies. So any deaths in the Clone Wars movie or the TV show or even the Star Wars Rebels TV show will not be included. Perhaps that list is for another day, so let me know if you want to see that in the comments below. But without further ado, let's begin. At number 10, taking a dip in a reactor core. So this might shock some of you, since Palpatine's death is pretty iconic and I'm sure it really hurts. But I have this at number 10 because although it probably really hurt, at least Sidious was vaporized instantly, and so he felt pain for probably a second. And so there was no real suffering before his death, and that's why it's number 10. At number 9, playing with laser scissors. I have Dooku's death here for a very similar reason for why I have Palpatine's at number 10. For although Dooku was betrayed and had his hands cut off, his life was ended rather quickly, and so he only had to endure a few moments of pain. Not that getting decapitated is a good way to go, but at least it is an instant death. At number 8, where's the brakes? I placed his death here because this guy literally slams to the rock wall and then his pod racer explodes. Now usually you could consider this a gruesome death, which it was, but the alien was traveling so fast when he smacked into the rocks, I'm pretty sure he died on impact, and so he probably didn't feel any pain and didn't suffer very much. But still, what a way to go. At number 7, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's a massive world ending death beam. So for most of you, I'm sure you may put this one higher, but honestly, if a Death Star or a Death Star ripoff, Star Killer Base, completely obliterates a planet you're on, you wouldn't actually feel any pain. What I mean by this is you would watch the beam hit the planet, and for a couple seconds, you would probably be really scared and want to save yourself and your family and the people you love. But just in a couple seconds, there would be nothing but space dust. So you wouldn't actually feel any pain, and if you did, it would only last a moment. At number 6, Banana Darth Maul split. Okay, so I know that Maul technically survived this due to the Clone Wars, but this was once considered his canon death, and so I'm counting it. This death honestly has to suck. Not only do you get cut in half, but then you fall into a dark hole and eventually hit a bottom. So even if the initial slice doesn't kill you, that fall would. Unless of course you're a fan favorite and the fans want to bring you back, and which you can come back in a TV show. Darth Maul. At number 5, when you get maced out the window. Windu's death is probably the most brutal in terms of what all happens to him. First, he gets his hand cut off, second, he gets electrocuted by Palpatine, and third, he gets thrown out a window and falls hundreds of stories to the Coruscant streets below. Now, there is a fan theory out there that Windu is still alive and that he is actually Snoke. I personally think that is ridiculous though, because Snoke is clearly a Jar Jar. At number 4, death by teddy bears. So this death isn't a main character, but it definitely has to hurt both physically and emotionally. Physically in the sense that sticks and stones break your bones, and emotionally in the sense that you're being killed by giant teddy bears, who are probably then going to devour your flesh after you're dead. And I don't know what's worse, being killed by the Ewoks or being remembered as a guy who got killed by the Ewoks. Either way, it's pretty sad. At number 3, flying solo. Or perhaps I should say, falling solo. Now, Han Solo's death is a tad different from the other deaths where someone gets injured and then falls great distances. Because in both Maul's and Windu's deaths, they sustained an injury that could kill them instantly. For example, cutting someone in half could kill them instantly, or even electrocuting someone enough could kill them as well. But in Solo's case, he was stabbed through the abdomen by his own son, I might add, and then fell to the planet's core. And if that isn't bad enough, the planet then blew up, and chances are, due to the sheer size of the planet, you would have still been falling up until the planet actually blew up, which is not a fun time. At number 2, getting holy, literally, Order 66 is arguably one of the saddest moments in all of Star Wars. It marks the end of the Jedi and the formation of the Galactic Empire. But out of all the Jedi we see die, there had been one that gave me the shivers, and in fact still does to this day. It was the death of Aayla Secura. She was just minding her own business, patrolling Felucia with her loyal clones. But then, all of a sudden, they shoot her down. But that's not even the worst part, because she might actually still be alive after the first initial shots. But then, they proceed to unload the entire rifle into her, and all she could do is lay there and wait for herself to die. It's actually a pretty sad death. And at number 1, Rancor lunch. I always felt bad for this chick, and mostly because she was a slave to the disgusting Jabba the Hutt, who then fed her to his Rancor. Now, you may be thinking, hold on a second, Net, how is this the #1 worst way to die in the Star Wars movies? I mean, how is this worse than having a planet blow up on you? Come on, Net. Well, let's see. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're on a planet that is blowing up in mere seconds, it would be so quick you wouldn't even feel your own death. However, you couldn't fight the Rancor, unless you were Luke Skywalker, of course. But we're going from the slave Twi'lek's point of view, so that doesn't count. But with that said, all you could do is wait for the Rancor to pick you up, shove you in his mouth, and proceed to eat you alive. It would not be a quick death by any means. I mean, think about it. All you could do was endure the pain of your bones crunching and your skin shredding until finally succumbing to the sweet relief of death. It is truly a horrible way to die, and that's why it's #1 on my list. So what would you guys say? What are the worst deaths in the Star Wars movies? Let me know in the comments below. Please remember to like and subscribe for more videos, you guys. And until next time, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.